Hey, it's Jason, co-founder of SERPWoo, and I'm here today to show you another video and how I use SERPWoo daily. So in this series of videos, I try to show you how I use SERPWoo, how other people use SERPWoo, no matter if you're a freelancer, self-employed, entrepreneur building websites of your own in certain niches. If you're a small business owner, like a mom and pop plumber or a small business owner in e-commerce and you're hiring for SEO, or even if you're in an agency and you own an agency or work in an agency, maybe you're a director or vice president and you're looking for, how to deal with your clients or find new clients. This series is for you because I go over how I use SERPWoo and also how other people use SERPWoo as well. So in my last video, I showed you how to find new clients. That would have been especially useful for you if you were a freelancer looking for new clients, or if you were an agency and you were looking for new clients. In this video, I'm actually going to go over how to know if you should get into certain niches or not. So this would be valuable for somebody who builds their own websites. Maybe you build websites to flip them on Flippa. Maybe you build websites to monetize them with advertising or sell products. This is also going to be a good video for people who potentially work at an agency or a freelancer who takes on clients, and you get these clients that come to you and say, we want to rank on the first page of Google, or we want to get more traffic, and you need to figure out how much time and energy it's actually going to take to rank on the first page. And then that way you can go back to the client and say, well, this is going to be a $2,000 job, or this is going to be a $20,000 job. For somebody who builds websites and they're looking to get into certain niches, maybe to flip a website or maybe to monetize a website, this will kind of give you an idea of how hard it's going to be to rank, so that you can plan out cost for link building and content, and just time length, if it's going to take 6 months, if it's going to take 6 years to rank. This is what this video is going to do for you. So let's jump right into it. I've got some certain keywords and projects already set up. That's the crux of this particular setup, is that you've got to be able to put the data into SERPWoo. You've got to make the project. You've got to put the keywords in, and you've got to collect data. This isn't something that happens on your first day or your 7th day. You really need 30 to 90 to maybe even 180 days worth of data. I don't think that you actually have to get into 6 months of data, but you definitely want to put these keywords in, and you want to track these projects for at least more than a month. If you're an agency, that might mean that you're putting these keywords in and you're telling your client, hey, we're going to go ahead and give you a price now, and we're going to get that upfront work done now. Maybe that's content, maybe that's website improvements like page speed. But in order for us to determine how many links we need and what that's going to cost, we'll give you another proposal in 30 days that adds on to that, so that we can collect that data. For somebody that builds their own websites, you've probably got more leeway in time because it's you, but you're going to need at least 30 days there. So let's jump in. What I've got on the screen right now is a keyword that I've been tracking, vitamin C serum. So I've got some contacts in the skincare industry where, at one point I was interested in doing skincare and putting it on Amazon and selling it and then ranking it, doing pay-per-click for it. So I went ahead and just put in one of the most trafficked keywords for that, which is just vitamin C serum itself. So this is what we're looking at. We're looking at from March 1st to April 28th. We're looking at a focus date of April 28th because that tells us what's ranking today. If I wanted to change that focus date to March 1st, I would see what was ranking on March 1st during that time range, and then I could find out what had fell off. But I'm more interested right now in what's ranking today during that date range. The range itself really isn't all that important, but what I can do is I can actually look at the screen here now that I've put in this keyword, and I've collected data for some time, and I can actually analyze this and say, is this something that's going to be really easy for me to rank, or is this a medium amount of work, or is this just something that's just way beyond my means? It's way too advanced. It's going to take a lot of time. It's going to take a lot of money. Maybe I'm not interested. You could be interested in that if you've got the resources. So what I'm looking here specifically is I can go ahead and look at the volume. I can look at the competition in pay-per-click, which you'll see here. That's something that a lot of tools can give you. If we look at the SERP here, I can kind of tell how long these websites have ranked. I can tell, where they started off and where they're at now. But probably the most important metric that I'm going to show you is actually all of these lines going up and down that looks like a jumbled mess almost. The frequency of these changes is what these lines represent. These are the actual rankings. And if we look at this visually, you might get lost, but what I'm going to show you right here is this. If you look at the first three, 1, 2, and 3, we're talking about 1, 2, and 3. You're going to notice that individually, these domains do not change positions very much. The guy who is first, he might jumble around a little bit, but he's jumbling from first, second, and third. He largely stays first. If he does move, he's second. For the second place person, at least second place for the day that I've picked here, myawesomebeauty.com, they are sort of in a similar situation. Now they're bouncing a little bit more than the first place ranking person. But, they're still ranking second, third, that's their movement. Sometimes they go to first. It's confined between 2 or 3 placements as a jump. That's not necessarily true back at the beginning of March when they were 6th, though. But over time, their frequency has been small jumps. If we move down to the next one, I do not know how to say this. MarioBadusky.com, I think is what this is. Same thing, they're bouncing from third to fourth to second. The jumps are not that drastic. It's a small, tight range. That's a very important lesson. You'll notice this with a lot of keywords, that if you're first, second, and third, you're pretty much secured right in that tight range right there. As we get down to Derm Store right here, the jumps, they're still tight, but you notice they went from second to, let's see, what are they? 6th. As we move down, you're going to start noticing that the range gets a little bit wider. Somebody that was 8th got up to 2nd, but then now they're down to 9th. They've even been as far as 12th when you look at health.com. The point is the further down in rankings you go, the more volatile the range of where they used to rank be. Now there's a little bit of a tight range here for CNN towards the beginning of April, where they're just moving up and down just a little bit, but overall it's a wide range, especially when you look at around March 16th here. So when we come back, this is the focus of this, is the volatility. A lot of our competitors, they love to tell you, oh, here's how many links they have, here's what the trust flow is, yada, yada, yada. They focus a lot on links. And the thing about links is links can be manipulated. If you can buy links, if you can create public blog networks, if you can barter trades with links, links are just this tired, old, unreliable metric to determine how you can move up. And a lot of the industry has started moving to quality content and engagement and click rate from the SERPs. But there's something that a lot of people's not talking to you about, and that is longevity in the SERPs. Listen, like I showed you with first, second, and third, pretty much if you can get into those spots, you're almost guaranteed by Google to stay in first, second, or third over the long range. It's almost like once you lock that in, They keep you there. Sure, you might bounce 1 or 2 spots down, but you're not bouncing like the guy who is 9th or the guy who is 12th, who could be anywhere any day of the week. And when you really think about that, if you're not 1st, 2nd, or 3rd, and you run a business and primarily your business is fueled by SEO, and SEO is driving the traffic and you're making money through SEO, like say if you're an e-commerce store, or if you're looking at lead generation and lead generation powers your business, you cannot count on SEO if you're sitting in 9th. You cannot count on that revenue. You've got overhead, you've got bills to pay, but if you're ranking 9th, that might be fine today, but tomorrow you might be 7th, and then the next day after that you might be 13th. You cannot depend on a predictable income if you're not 1st, 2nd, or 3rd within Google. The person who is 1st, 2nd, or 3rd on Google can almost depend on that to still be there tomorrow or next week or next month. It's almost like as soon as you're in the top 3, you're locked in there. Now you can still be bounced out. I'm not saying it's permanent, but it's definitely the probability, the odds, the risk is a lot better when you're 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, because you can almost depend on that because you're not moving around a lot. So that's one thing to take away from this is when you look at these SERPs, are the guys in 1st, 2nd, and 3rd kind of locked in there, or are they moving around a lot? And that's what I call volatility. And you can get a good gauge of this volatility by once you collect your data. You can actually go to the volatility area, click on it, and you can get a sampling of volatility. Now these numbers are pretty important because they tell you how much volatility as a percentage has happened in the SERPs. Real quickly, blue is low volatility. There's actually a color below that. It's kind of grayish black. It's almost no volatility. We're talking about like 3%, 5%. The next level up is blue, and the level up after that is green. And you can kind of look at this and say that, yesterday and today, the volatilities are almost breaking into the 20s. You've got 17 and 18, but 7 days ago, 14 days ago, it was 8 and 10. It was very low volatility. 28 days ago, almost a month ago, it was 6%. So a month ago, there was very little frequency of change as far as who was moving up and down and the changes taking place as a total within this SERP. So I might look at this and say, man, there's not a lot of volatility going on. So if I build a website and I can get it into 1st, 2nd, or 3rd, there's low volatility overall. I'm almost guaranteed to stay in those positions. Even if I cannot lock 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, if I'm 4th or 5th, there's still a small amount of volatility. If I can get into those positions, the chances are I'm going to stay in the top 10. I'm not going to be bouncing around everywhere because it's high volatility. That's what you're wanting to look at here. So to me, vitamin C serum might be a good niche to get into. But that's strictly looking at the volatility. Now, what you do have to ask yourself is this: is the reason why there's low volatility because the players in this market are huge players and they're hard to knock off? You're looking at Amazon, you're looking at health.com, you're looking at maybe Wikipedia even. These sites are so heavy, such huge sites, such authoritative sites, it might be hard to dislodge them out of the top 10 or top 20, and that's why there's low volatility. So even though I've said that, you still don't want to look for a high volatility niche, thinking that you can slide in there real easy, because the whole point of it being high volatility is you might be able to slide in there easily, but you might be gone tomorrow. So you still want to look for these low volatility niches and figure out which ones you want to get into. So this is kind of the first step, looking at this volatility. I've got a blue, I've got fairly low numbers overall, so that passes the first part of this. Now the second part would be to scroll down and actually look at these websites. As somebody new, if I were to build a new website in this, let's say I don't have an age domain, I don't buy an age domain, I don't have a partner with an age domain. If I'm coming in new and I scroll down and I look at this third-party data and I see that it's Amazon, I'm probably not going to dislodge Amazon out of that first spot. If I look at Amazon, they hold this first spot. Their Who Is record is 23.5 years. They've got a page rank of 9. Their Alexia score is 12. I mean, you're not going to beat Amazon as a new website. But, you know, I don't have to be first. I could be second or third, or maybe I could be fourth. Maybe there's enough traffic that even if I'm 7th and I get that 7th spot, I could still have positive cash flow. So you go down and I start looking, and I'm like, you know what? The second domain, 20.8 years, 6.2 years, 20.2, 24 years, 18 years. These are page ranks of 6, 5, 7. Page rank really doesn't scare me off that much. I'm glad to see this 6, so we've got 2 6s in the top 10. We've even got a 3.2 years, and then we've got 23 and 21. So there's a chance that with a newish domain, you know, maybe if it's 4 years old, if it's 5 years old, and you can build up that authority, there is the chance that you can break the top 10 here. We've got a domain that's 3.2 years, and we've got 2 of them that are 6.6 years. The rest of the SERP is dominated by people with 18 plus years. You know, so let's forget about links. Let's forget about trust flow or domain authority. The simple fact is, if you don't have an age domain, you're probably not going to break into this top 10. And your age domain needs to at least be 3 years, if not 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 plus years. And this is something that we've also found doing a lot of research within SERPWoo. We were able to go into our big data and mine all that big data. And pretty much to break the top 10, you need a domain that's at least 3 years old. There's hardly any domains ranking on the front page of Google that are less than 3 years old, unless it's a keyword that nobody's heard of. It's a brand new keyword, like say for a brand new product, like when the Snuggie blanket was new, or it's a keyword that just nobody tracks, like maybe a street address. But even then, something super long, something super irrelevant, that's the only place where new domains are ranking, at least right now at the time of this video being made. But if I go further, you know, maybe there's a chance that I could rank on the second page with a brand new domain. If I get down to the second page, still it's dotted with 8-year-old plus domains, even to the top 20 there. So in order for me to rank, this is going to be a little bit of work. It's going to not be super hard. I know I'm not going to be first. It's not super easy either, and I'm going to have to probably wait a good amount of time to be able to rank on the first page of Google for vitamin C serum. Now that I've looked at this, I can kind of gauge how much time it's going to take, how much money, how much work, and you know, this is kind of a mixed result here. So let's look at some more. So this is another one that I looked at, dumpster rentals. Possibly being an affiliate or building a dumpster rental site and being an affiliate, making money that way. So when I first come to this, you know, I see kind of the same thing visually up front. I'm seeing positions that aren't moving a lot at the top, positions that are moving. It almost looks like we've got either somebody that got penalized or an algorithm shift here. It's probably more of a penalty. It looks like that because you can kind of see all the arrows and lines going up, and then they come down. They're coming up right here at this position on March 15th. And then everybody's coming down around April 12th. So almost a month you had this shift. And it looks like the shift a lot is, oh well, see, this is something very important here. So we've got site links on here. So this is something else that you can do if you don't want to look at map packs or site links. Let's go ahead and take those off. Give it time to update. Yeah, so this tells a lot different tale here. So now we're looking at the data. Budget dumpsters #1. Best deal dumpsters, he was second. It looks now that he was fifth now here within the last week. But visually, there's not a lot of volatility in the top 3, top 4 for this. So that's something that I need to take note of. Let's look at the volatility now. Oh, this is great. I mean, look at this. There's almost no volatility happening at all. There's almost none recently because this is where we've got the grayish black color. We've got 353, and then we go into blue for 2 weeks to a month ago at 14%. This is definitely something that if you can get into it, you're not going to get moved out or kicked out very easily. There's almost no volatility here. Now we've got to ask the question, is the reason why there's no volatility because these websites are authorities and they're hard to dislodge out of the top 10? Maybe there's not a lot of traffic, so there's not a lot of people even interested in this niche, which can be both good and bad. We need to dig more into the data now that we've passed this volatility test. So as I scroll down, first place, 8.9 years. You know, you might as well move that up to, you know, just 9 years. You've got 14 years, 19 years, 8 years, 10, 6. That's pretty good. Oh, look at this. We've got somebody with 11.3 months, almost a year. So this is a niche that maybe, you know, with a brand new domain, we can definitely get into. The domain itself, it looks like this is very specific to the city. So it's specifically Louisville Dumpsters. This is dependabledumpsters.com. Their domain is practically new. They have no page rank. Let's keep going through the SERPs here. We've got one for 1.5 years. Oh, we've got another one at 9 months. Now that is the second page. Another one for 2.3 years. This could be something that I could snatch up a new domain today, write some excellent content for, build some backlinks on, and be ranking pretty quickly. There's hardly no volatility. That could be because nobody's really building websites for it, which that could be a positive or negative. I know for a fact that dumpster rentals, that there's money in it. So this would be a great niche that somebody could jump into really quickly. You know, if you had a client that was dumpster rentals, you know, you would have collected this data and you could say, you know, that this work is, you know, you're not going to say the work is extremely easy, but you and your company know that you can get results for that client quickly and make money doing it. So let's move on to another one here. So if you live in the Midwest or even the South in the United States, you've probably seen these huge bees. These are not honeybees. These are not bumblebees. These are like bees that are thicker than your thumb. And they're really huge. They're really clumsy. But these bees are called carpenter bees, or some people call them wood bees. And they are devastating to your home if you have a wood home. If you have a home or a deck and your home's got wood siding or you've got a wooden deck, these bees basically chew and bore into the wood, lay their eggs, and then when these eggs mature and hatch, they eat the wood too. And what happens is over time, not only do you have these ugly holes in your home and your deck, but it deteriorates the structure, the integrity and the strength of your house or your deck. They're very destructive. They're kind of scary to small children. Even I don't like them. But they have these traps that you can build, and these traps look like little houses with a little hole in them. And the bees, the carpenter bees, like to go in them, but they can't come out, so they end up dying. So I had an idea that I could import these carpenter bee traps from Alibaba or from another source and then sell them on Amazon. I never got around to it, so I was tracking this and I wanted to see the volatility. I wanted to see how hard it would be, not just for me selling on Amazon, but possibly ranking organically as well. So visually looking at it, again, I get the same trends where the top 3 or 4 are pretty steady. There's more volatility as you drop down below third. And let's look at the volatility score itself. This one's a little higher than we're used to seeing from the previous examples. You know, we do have blue up front for the 7 days. We got 18, 17, 18, but then we get a green. And that green is more difficult, you know, than a blue. And 14 days ago, the volatility was 26%. So there was that much movement within the top of the SERPs. Over 30 days, we still have 16. So that's kind of the trend there. So while this one doesn't look like it would be extremely hard looking at just the volatility numbers compared to the other projects we've looked at, let's dig into the SERPs. So I'm seeing some good stuff here. I mean, we've got 7.7 for number 1, 13.2. That is a YouTube result, so you know there's an argument there that while you might not be able to dislodge YouTube, you can definitely create videos on YouTube, and you know those are going to rank for this particular keyword. We've got 22 years with HGTV, but then we got this 4.4. You know, that's definitely interesting. You know, just looking at the domain, you know, this is probably some kind of affiliate or made for advertising site. Maybe it's e-commerce, stoppestinfo.com. And then we've got some 20, 25 years. We've got an 8.2 in the top 10, 5.4 at 10. And then when we get to the second page, you know, we've got 4.3, 22, even 5.9 as we get to the bottom of the second page. So there's an argument here that, you know, this would be about medium quality work. This would probably take a little while to rank with a brand new website. But if you've got an age domain or confined an age domain, you know, especially if it's past 4 years, 5 years, you could rank on the first page of Google here. So, you know, this is one that can be considered maybe a project that you can build. Just looking at the volatility though, you know, when you start getting up to 20, that's my threshold. I don't like a lot of things over 20. Just because that's my personal preference. I don't want to build a website. I don't want to spend a year or 2 on it, possibly even 4 or 5, just to get into a niche where the volatility is right at 20 or 20 plus. And I don't know if I'm going to be what position that I'm going to be at, if I'm even going to be at the top of the SERPs for very long. I definitely don't want to spend that money and that energy only after 3 years to get on the front page, and then I'm only there for maybe a month. There's no reason for me to build that site. So I tend to go lower than 20. That's my personal threshold. That could be totally different for you and for your objectives. But I'm going to show you one more here. Now, you looked at this site in the last video, or I'm sorry, not this site, but this project. This is exercise science degree. This is for a lot of my clients where I'm working in higher education. This is definitely a big keyword for them. And I just want to show you the difference in volatility. I'm not, I definitely wouldn't go after this keyword myself because it's not my preference. And I'm not telling you to go for this keyword. But we go and we look at exercise science degree. And visually, this looks a little different. There's a lot of white space in this chart. And what that white space tells me visually, right at a glance, very quickly, there are lots of people falling out of this SERP. And there's new URLs or new domains taking over. Because the reason why I know that is we got our focus date right here on April 28th. And that focus date is saying that in this range, March 1st to April 28th, we're only wanting to focus on the people who are ranking on this date, which just happens to be the end of the date range. If I were to change that to March 1st, the chart's going to look different. Now you see the difference in this chart. A lot of the color has moved to the front of March, and you get a little white space towards the 28th of April. And that's because we're looking at websites that ranked on March 1st that they ranked then. They may not rank today. So that's what Focus Date does. Focus Date allows you to look at who ranked on a particular day. You know, that's something that no other tool has, to be able to go back in time and say, well, it's great to know who's ranking today with me, but who ranked a month ago? We can even take this into the middle of April. I'm sorry, the 1st of April. And you see that we don't have the same amount of white space as we used to. You know, now we've told SERPWoo we just want to look at who ranked on April 1st. They might not rank today, April 28th, and they might not have ranked on March 1st, but this is what we're looking at now, who ranked on April 1st. So let's go ahead and move this back. So let's just see what the volatility is of this particular keyword. Yeah, there's no way that me personally, I would touch this particular keyword. The volatility at 62, that's very high. That's our orange. Then we've got yellow, which is actually the step below orange at 60 and 50% yesterday and 7 days ago. We've got that blue there at 16 for 14 days ago, but 30 days ago it was at 46. So there was probably, this is something, a keyword that's very volatile all the time, and that's because all of these universities and colleges are pouring money into online marketing for this particular keyword. There's also a lot of affiliates and aggregators who are trying to get this keyword and rank for this keyword. So that's where you've got all of this volatility and all of these players trying to come in or knock people out. There might have been a calm for 14 days ago for whatever reason, but overall, this is something I would stay out of just because either when you see high volatility, what that means is this is extremely competitive. There's a lot of players. It could be that there's manual penalties or there's algorithms for this particular keyword. This is just something that you could spend a lot of time and money on. And if you're a freelancer or an agency, you're going to have to charge a good amount of money for whoever comes to you and they want to rank for exercise science degree. Maybe it's a university, maybe it's an affiliate or an aggregator. You're going to be able to judge and find out that this is a lot of work, and you can adjust your pricing accordingly to that client for that amount of work. If you're somebody building a website and you're planning on flipping it, you're going to have to pour in probably minimum $50,000 to $100,000 into getting a website to rank for this and secure that ranking so that you could later flip it and sell it. But let's go ahead, scroll down and find out what the SERP actually says here. So first place is not held by a university or college. It's an exercisescienceguide.com, but they're at 8 years for their domain length. Second one is also not a university. We're at 12.2 years though. Then you start getting into the EDUs. Now these question marks are where SERPWoo just hasn't had time yet to grab the who is date. If we look at the longevity, it's only been in the SERPs for 1 day, so SERPWoo just hasn't had enough time to grab that data yet. But I can almost promise you that cuny.edu has been around for at least 20 years. Same thing, we've got collegeboard.org, 23 years. We've got mercy.edu. They've only been in the SERP for 7 days. We haven't grabbed their score yet. But Mercy, again, I can tell you from experience because it's an EDU that it's been around for over 20 years. We've got Indeed for 20 years. We've got another domain at 14 years. These are all newish domains within the last month or two. These are EDU, so I know that they're going to be at least 20 years. We do have, when you crack the second page, this person at 5.3 years on it, but it's a Delphi. It is a .edu. It's not a .com. We've still got some new players less than 60 days old, so we don't have their domains. But I can look at this and tell you that since these are all EDUs, ku.edu, snu.edu, hofstra.edu, you're not going to be able to dislodge these guys because these are all 20-year domains as well. You've got one guy that's 5.3, but he's an EDU, and come on, the EDU has the power behind it. You've got College Board, highly relevant, but then you've got this guy and this exercise, this hyphen domain, but you still got age there, and you've got just longevity with their age. So the only way that you're going to play in this market is I can guarantee you that you're going to have a domain that's probably at least 10 years old that is relevant or had been relevant to higher education topic before. And you're going to put a lot of work into this. I mean, a lot of content, a lot of links, a lot of money. You're going to wait a lot of time to crack into this SERP. And then once you actually land into this SERP, you have no clue if you're going to last 3 days or 3 months. So this would be something that I would stay away from unless this is just your bread and butter because you're a university already. But this is something that I also wouldn't touch. Definitely not for 1,900 searches a month. And I can tell you that if you're an affiliate, these colleges and universities don't pay very well for leads. I've played in this market a lot. The leads are higher than most affiliate leads, but not for the work, not for the return that these colleges and universities get, because these colleges and universities make thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars when it's all said and done with somebody that's got a 4-year degree or a master's degree. And what they're going to pay you is generally anywhere between, depending on the affiliate program, $40 to $300. It just depends on the program. It depends on the quality of leads. It depends what degree that they end up selecting. And it depends on if it's a phone call that goes into a call center or if it's just a web lead. It also depends if it's just a lead itself, or if it's an application, or if it's an enrollment, or if it's a start. So you've got a lot of variables there with these affiliate programs. It's just not worth it for the work if you're going into this as an affiliate. So that's all I have to show you today. That's how I use SERPWoo to find a niche and determine how hard it's going to be, how much work, how much cost. And it's also when I take on a client, I can give them a price up front to say, hey, you know, I know you want to rank for, you know, let's just take this one. I know you want to rank for exercise science degree. However, you've got some problems with your site. We've got some content to build. I'm going to give them a price up front for optimizing their page speed or their site speed or redoing their website or doing content or getting all this set up. And then I'm going to give them a second price in 30 to 60 days. Once I put that keyword in the SERPWoo and I grab that data and I'm able to look at it, I'm going to say, okay, here's how hard it's actually going to rank for this. We've got the data. This is an extremely hard keyword. This is going to be probably, easily a year to 2 years worth of work. It's going to be this much content, this much link and link building, social media. And we've got a lot of work ahead of us, so we're going to charge you a lot for it because that's what that keyword is worth. It's also how volatile this keyword is and how hard it is to stay in the SERP. Because listen, who cares that you rank the front page if you're only there for a few days? You want longevity, and this is going to be something that's very high risk. So you can go back to the client and give them the second part of their proposal 30 to 60 days later with the help of SERPWoo to give an accurate price of the work it's going to take. So that's all I've got for you in this episode. Again, my name is Jason Brown. I hope to see you next week on the next episode. Thanks. Bye.